Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. So in today's success story session, we have with us Mr. Amol that has the mechanical engineering background, and from there he came to NABARD Grade A and cleared NABARD Grade A in his second attempt. So how was he able to clear the NABARD Grade A in his second attempt? What was his learnings and what was his strategy? All of this we are going to understand from him. And a heartiest welcome to you and heartiest congratulations to you, Mr. Amol.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's understand from him that what was his strategy. But before starting with the strategy, let's understand from him that how many exams did he give and what was his educational background. So over to you, sir.
My educational background, as you described, like I am a graduate in mechanical engineering from University of Mumbai. I graduated in 2014, and after that I started preparing for UPSC. I gave about 4 UPSC attempts and around 2 mains attempts in UPSC. Then I shifted to regulatory body exams, like I appeared for RBI, SEBI, and NABARD last year. All for all 3 mains I had appeared last year,
Okay.
and this was my second attempt in NABARD this year.
Okay, and you cleared about. Okay, so
Yes.
was there some learning that you got in the second attempt, like from your first attempt, what you learned that helped you in the this attempt?
The major learning from the failure in the first attempt I had was like I should concentrate more on my strengths and rather than on my weaknesses, and that will help me like sail through the exam. So
Yeah.
yeah, that part, that learning helped me this time. Like I focus more on descriptive English, which is my strength. So
Yes.
yes, that was a big learning, I'd say, helping me
Okay.
clear the examination.
Okay, understood. So that's nice. Now coming to the strategy. So there will be the layout. Like we will be talking about the phase one, then we will be talking about the phase two, and then we will talk about the strategy for the interview. But let's understand from you that like you gave 4 UPSC attempts and then you gave the regulatory body attempts. So was there not this like were you not disheartened, and what kept you motivated in that time?
When I had failed, like after trying for UPSC, I had reached the main stage, like around 5 lakh students appear for UPSC premiums. So
Hmm.
I had got into the 10,000 who appeared for me. So even though I had not been able to clear the
Yes.
mains, but that was a big motivating factor. Like, okay, I belong to this field. Okay, I can do something here. So I took that learning, and maybe
Yeah.
I tried like shift to some examination where it is not as vast as UPSC,
Yeah.
and okay, maybe I'll be able to bring the skill set which I have to better use. So I
Yes.
shifted to RBI and about other exams.
Okay, that's nice. So, and was there some activity that kept you motivated, like some hobby or something? Like usually
Yeah,
the
I
aspirants
used
get demotivated in the journey. So, what did you do to keep yourself motivated?
actually like during the preparation there, I was at the initial when I was preparing for UPSC. I was at the like extreme end of preparation. Like I had given up on social life. I had like disconnected myself from social media, given up on Netflix and YouTube and all that. But that strategy backfired for me actually.
Yeah.
Like it got me into like a more a depression kind of a stage. So when I started preparing for this exam, like I had lightened up myself. I used to do things which used to keep me in good mood. Like I used to do exercise and meditation exercise. So those things helped me to stay better focused at my job, and also it made me, like I can say, happy hormones. Like it released happy hormones in my body. So I was able to uh, stay focused throughout the ups and downs of this examination.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. So now I think we can start with the strategy, as most of the aspirants are preparing in this cycle of competitive exams. So I just wanted to tell them also through you that you need like some extra activities you should be doing to keep yourself
Yes.
focused, and otherwise you will get into a very bad spiral kind of thing. So yes, if you
Exactly.
have given many attempts and all, still you can clear, like Mr. Amol has cleared the exam, but you have to have something else also to keep you motivated, some hobbies, some activity.
Sure,
So
sure.
yes. So now I think we can start with the strategy for the phase one, starting with the qualifying section. Like there was QRE and decision making and computer. So starting with QRE, what was your strategy for that?
For QRE, my strategy through all examinations seem like I go to previous year questions and I just practice them. What are the previous year questions are there? And the more I practice, the more I confident I get about that section. I don't, and I play to my strengths. Like in quant, I try to solve DI, and reasoning, I try to solve puzzles, and all those small, like in quant, there's quadratic equation is there, or approximations are asked, or in reasoning, syllogism I try to solve, or blood relation. So I choose my topics which I know I can confidently solve it on, and I play to it according to that. So,
That's nice. So yeah, for the qualifying section especially, you should play on your strengths, because you have to just
yes,
bring some marks, and that will be, and it is relative that you have to just play on your strengths. Coming to the decision making, it was a new subject that came, and what was your take on it? Did you focus too much on it, or did you just leave it that we will
no,
see in the exam?
I had not focused too much on it. Earlier, prior to that, I had SEBI mains examination. So management part was there. So I had gone through management in detailed preparation. So that part helped me actually in exam. I was unaware, like, okay, I don't know what they are going to ask, but I was confident, okay, whatever they'll ask, I'll be able to at least solve 4 to 5. But on that day, I was able to solve around 7 to 8 questions easily. So I was quite happy about it.
So for the aspirants that do not that are not studying for the management, what do you think that how much they should focus on decision making?
I don't think there is like too much focus is needed for that part, because ultimately you just have to clear like the sectional cutoff for decision making.
Yeah.
So even I think EduTap had provided some questionnaires around decision making at
Yeah.
the time. You can just practice that questions and it will help you to answer those questions better. Those are the questions asked are of general nature, like someone who has had experience or someone who's working can easily answer those questions. It's not like some technical questions are there. Maybe 2 or 3 are there, but rest of the general questions are asked in this.
Okay, that's nice. So now coming to the med section, that is the tool that keeps you like that helps you to go to the mains. So like talking about the med section, first of all, GA is there, general awareness. So how many months of
Yes,
the general awareness do you think that you need to cover for clearing the phase one?
I think 4 months is sufficient, but
Okay.
like 4 months is like 4 months is I follow the 80-20 principle. Like, okay, when 4 months is like my 20% is there, but it will give me 80% of the marks. But some students are like, they want to get everything right in GA. So for them, they have to go up to 6 months. So 4 months is like, I'm thorough with the current affairs for 4 months. Beyond that, I'm not, maybe I'll be able to solve or I don't know.
Okay.
So I just followed 4 months current affairs.
So you have to religiously follow 4 months. Like you have to
Yes,
be very thorough with the 4 months, and the other 2 months
yes,
or other 1 month, you just have to see through important articles and all. That is good.
yes, yes,
So, and how many times of revision? Because in GA there are like dates, there are some names, very too much to learn, too much to
yes.
remember. So, how many times of revision should be there?
For me, I require minimum 3 revisions to be confident about that. Okay, I can practice or I will be able to solve these questions on the exam in the exam like that. So I minimum 3 revisions I give, but the more revisions, the better you'll be able to recollect under pressure in the examination. But
Okay.
minimum 3 is what I prefer. Three
Okay.
revisions.
And it's usually like for the GA, now coming to the ESI. Now the GA part is, I think, is covered. ESI, how did you prepare for the ESI? Because ESI is more in depth than the GA.
Yes, ESI
And
is like schemes are asked
hmm,
in ESI and ARD also saying. For both ESI and ARD, my strategy was to link the current to the static part.
yeah.
And I was not like going through the static part word by word. Whatever current things are going which are linkable to the static part. I was just going through that, and my strategy was to practice more MCQs for this merit section, especially, so that even though I have gone through the material or whatever, whatever I'm like learning, is my learning correct, or whatever silly mistakes I'm making. So those practicing MCQs help me, and I don't like the facts. Like I find it very hard to remember facts. So whenever I solve MCQs, it helps me to remember those facts, because I
Yeah.
know whenever fact is going to come, I'm going to mark it wrong. And when I mark something wrong, my brain registers it very well. Okay, you had marked this wrong in the mock test, but this is not the answer. This is the answer.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that strategy works for me, like reverse engineering, we can say,
Yeah.
kind of.
So you gave many mock tests, many practice questions you attempted for remembering the facts. And I think that is an important tool for revision, that you give mock
Yes,
test
yes,
through the MCQs. And then of course you will mark wrong, and that question you will surely remember in the exam if it comes, like
yes,
something related to that. So yes, very good. So a new thing that the aspirants must have learned, that even if you want to register the questions, if you want to register the data facts in your mind, you can do that through the MCQs spatially.
yes,
And
yes,
now coming to the ARD part, there are current affairs, there are like static also. So did you
yes.
focus on current affairs only in the ARD, or did you prepare for the static also?
I had prepared some basic chapters, like I think agronomy related chapters, soil
Mhm.
related chapters, and breed related chapters, because they many maximum questions were asked from previous year, in the previous year, from these chapters only. So I had focused on them. Like I'm from mechanical engineering, I was interested in the technology chapter in the agriculture section.
Yeah.
But then when I went to the previous year questions, I realized that there were not many questions coming. Even though I was interested in studying that, I did not look at that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
way that's the way I prepared.
Yeah, that's nice. That you have to see, analyze the previous year question papers, and then you have to see that which part is important, from where
Yes,
the
yes.
questions are coming mostly. And then it's not like what you like to study; it's like what is being asked in the
What the
exam.
yes,
The
exactly.
what the exam is asking. Yeah, true. So now ARD for the static, you didn't go in depth, and you only studied overall.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, for the ARD, it's general stream. So all the people from different streams are coming together and giving the exam, not only the agriculture ones. So of
Yes.
course, too much in depth, I don't think that will be asked. What is your
Yeah,
take on that?
they don't ask too much in-depth questions. Like okay, whenever we appear for any examinations, there are like some easy questions, some questions with medium difficulty, some questions are hard. So my take is always like first focus on easy, then go to medium, and hard because I'm not an agriculture graduate, so I don't need to bother about that.
Yeah,
But that's enough for me. So I
easy.
try to cover those questions, easy and medium level questions, like subjects which are I'm not familiar with
Okay.
from
Okay.
for that subjects.
Yes, that's nice. And for schemes like for ESI also, do you think that 4 months is enough, or for the ESI and ARD, you think that more current affairs, more month of current affairs are necessary?
Actually, 4 months, 4 months is enough, I think, because schemes usually are like they keep on repeating in the
Mm.
news, and they link that to the, if some scheme is in the news, then they'll go in deep and they'll figure out some fact or objective about that scheme. Then they'll ask a question related to that in the examination. So whenever a scheme just a name pops, you have to go through the scheme in detail.
Mm.
So in that way, you are thorough with that scheme, but at the same time you don't need to go through like all the schemes, because every year government keeps on launching so many schemes,
Yeah,
and our brain has limited potential to remember things. So I
yeah.
don't think that's feasible for me. At least that was not feasible for me. Maybe someone can do it.
Okay. So yeah, so the important schemes that are in the newspaper, you have to go through that. Static questions can be asked, like the launch year usually, or the
Yes, yes.
features, or some those kind of questions can be asked. So you have to go through the static part of the scheme mostly. So yes, that is a big learning that we learned from Mr. Amol. Now moving to the phase two of the exam. So what was your strategy for the phase two as a whole? First of all, that.
uh, for phase two, like as a whole, I had decided like there are two papers, like 100 marks is for descriptive English and 100 marks for ES and ART. So
Yes.
now descriptive English is like I had appeared for UPSC mains earlier, so I had scored good marks in essay paper. There are around 144 in my both attempts. So I was confident that descriptive English is my strength, and I can like practice and make it more scoring for me. So I practiced mock around 8 9 mocks, and I used to daily practice like either essay or essay or letter writing each. So I used to be around 2 hours for descriptive English daily, and for ES and ARD for objective part, I used to go through the summary sheets of EduTap and practice MCQs again. And for the descriptive part, I solved previous year questions from UPSC GS3 paper related to agriculture. But I was also able to like frame some potential questions because of my experience with the UPSC. Like maybe they'll ask a question on this in a descriptive section. So I prepared questions like WTO related question was there, MSP related question was there.
Okay.
So I practiced those questions. Around 50 odd questions I was able to practice in the 1 month time. So yeah, those things helped me in the and the main like this.
Okay. So for the ESI, you mostly prepared from the like previous year questions, or you prepared from the UPSC, like the kind of questions that UPSC usually
Yes,
ask. Okay.
yes.
And for the ARD, like there were question like crossbreeding, and there were a little in-depth questions, we can say. So how did you tackle that question?
Yeah, first of all, I say like I play on my strengths. Like so, I had prepared a question on MSP and like 4 questions we had to attend. I was confident about 3 questions, so I first of all attempted all those 3 questions, and I had around I think 20 odd minutes to attempt the crossbreeding questions. So I framed the general answer, whatever I knew about crossbreeding question. I framed nice introduction, conclusion, and decent body. Like maybe they'll give me an average mark. I was not expecting too much, but since it was a compulsory question, I
Yeah.
cannot like give up on it. So
Hmm.
that was my strategy. Like you have to play to your strengths and not be bothered. Like okay, this is
Yeah.
something you have not read. Crossbreeding is in general we are aware. Like I was
Mm.
aware what it was. General definition I wrote. What are the general methods or like those things, those kind of things, advantages, disadvantages, and I concluded with this. So that was my strategy for that.
Okay. And as you said that you have given many mock tests and all. So what was your framework that you usually followed to answer the descriptive questions, like paragraph wise you needed to answer or the pointer?
Uh, Depends. Like mostly I choose pointer like introduction. Uh, like maybe if you are well versed with a fact or some code,
Yeah.
like you write in a essay,
Mm.
so you can use that for introduction part. And if the question is asking about advantages, disadvantages, so maybe for advantages 5 6 points, disadvantages 5 6 points, and a
Yeah.
conclusion like so introduction, body, and conclusion like that.
Okay. And you think that through the points, like the examiner will be able to understand the what you are saying better, or you think that even if you are writing nicely in the paragraph also, it will be good?
I think through the points, it's easy to understand, like
Hmm.
to convey what we want to say exactly. But it also depends on questions. Like maybe some questions are open-ended, so you
Yeah.
can't like use pointers to write those questions. So
Okay.
it depends.
Yes, and now coming to the like word limit, that was a big thing for many of the students. Like the aspirants also think that it won't be possible for them to write 600, 400 words. So what was your take on that?
Exactly. Like my take was, first of all, I'll try to justify the question. Whatever knowledge I have, I'll limit myself to that only.
Hmm.
So because if even if you try to write like 600 words, you are going to miss out on next question, subsequent question. So you are going to lose marks. Even if you maybe you are not going to score, like big difference is not going to happen if
Hmm.
you write in 600. So my take was like we'll justify the questions whatever the word limit is, don't bother about it. So wherever the word limit was like 600, I was able to write it around 400 words, and wherever the word limit was 400, I was able to like around 300 or 250 words I was able to manage. So I tried to like complete the paper first, and then like if time permits, maybe I'll think, okay, I can add this point or not to increase the word limit. But first is like to justify the question, what they are asking, we should try to answer that, and that's sufficient.
Yeah, instead of focusing too much on the quantity of the or the word limit, you should just focus
Yeah.
on answering what is being asked and in the quality type of
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Yes, that's nice. Now,
Yes.
like we are to the end of the phase two, and can you tell us the sources that you followed for the phase two, phase one, and phase two, both?
Uh, Phase one, phase two, I relied on like newspaper. I used to read editorials, Indian Express, like for descriptive part.
Yeah,
And ES and ARD had followed EduTap summary sheets because I don't think you need to go out of that. They are comprehensive in themselves.
yeah.
Uh, like to study the to study the points given, topics given in the syllabus.
Hmm.
So that's only I relied.
Okay, that's nice. And now, is the like, do you want to give some message to the students before moving to the interview, like how they should go for the phase two? Usually, the students are like, we do not need to practice descriptive English because we already are very fluent in English. So, any message to the students?
The message is like there is what in a quote. The more you what is that? The more you sweat in the peace, the less you bleed in the war. I think that is a quote is there. Like the more you practice, you will be able to handle easily the examination, because and in examination you are under like high pressure and stress, because I have been like giving competitive examinations for around 7 to 8 years, and all my experiences like you feel a high amount of anxiety. You will mark questions which you know you like you have studied, you will mark those questions wrong, or there will be some blunder you make in it. So the more you practice, it helps you like to handle this stressful situation, and those crucial moments are which like break or make moments like
Yeah.
those separate you from the final list or select list, and the aspirants who fail to make it. So yeah, that's the thing. So more practice, more it will be helpful for.
Yeah, that's really nice. Now, moving to the interview part. Did you give any mock test, mock interview?
Yes, I had given mock interview with the EduTap. Both of them were retired professionals from, one was from RBI and one was from NABARD.
NABARD,
So
yeah.
yeah, they had helped me like to prepare questions what I can frame on my own, and they had suggested me some improvements which I implemented, and it helped me in the final interview as well.
Okay, that's nice. Now, coming to the interview, like the NABARD interview. So, how was it? Like the panel was cordial or it was grilling? What was your
No,
experience?
the panel was very cordial. They were like, they were wherever I was leading the interview was going that way. That there was no grilling as such. I was giving them hints. Okay, ask me question related to this. So they were asking the question related to this. That only. It was a very cordial interview, around
Okay,
15 to 20 minutes.
okay. And can you tell us some questions, some kind of technical questions were asked, or from your resume, the questions were asked? Some questions that you remember?
The chairman says like he had opened the interview like my educational background is from mechanical engineering, so why I had not like pursued a career in technical field, and why I'm like appearing for NABARD exams and all that. So I answered that like my interest lied in that field, like administrative field. So I had started my journey with UPSC and all that. I told him that. And going ahead, he asked me like, how you come to know about the NABARD, or you were aware about it. So yeah, I told it like I had known NABARD, like in my village, I have seen NABARD has constructed a road. So he asked me like, okay, so which fund NABARD has for constructing those roads and all that kind of things. So the one question led to the another. That was interview was very cordial. Like, so
Yeah, you have to be
no
careful
grilling
also.
as such.
Yeah,
Yes.
with what you are saying, because you talked about the road and they asked you about the fund. So that is like quite
Yes, yes,
leading. Yes, that is true. Now coming to for the interview, you had the gap years, like you were preparing for the UPSC and then you prepared for the regulatory bodies. So was there a question, like most of the aspirants are afraid that we have so many gap years, how we are going to justify that? So was there something that such kind of question, such kind of
Yeah, at the end of the interview, the question asked me was like, you don't have any work experience.
Hmm.
So do you think, like, is it advantageous or disadvantageous for
Mhm.
you when you start your career in NABARD?
Yes.
So it was quite a dicey question. I answered like yes and no both, because yes, I don't have any practical work experience, so it's a disadvantage for me. No, because like I had given 7 years of my life to study, like I was preparing for UPSC. So I was like well versed with the political, economical, and social issues of the country. More like what NABARD has a role, like what NABARD, the role NABARD has to play in this country. So I think maybe that knowledge will help me in my career in NABARD. So I answered in that way. So
Okay. And many of the aspirants, like many of the candidates that have cleared NABARD, they say that website is very important of the NABARD. So do you think that the questions were asked from the website?
yes, yes, website is important. Like you have to prepare from NABARD annual report.
Hmm.
The district which you belong, there is a PLP, like potential credit link line.
Yeah.
They upload online, and the state which you belong, like state focus paper. So I had a question like I'm from Nasik, so they had asked me what are the economic prospects of Nasik region. So you are able to answer it more like, okay, maybe you will be able to answer in general terms, but when you go through the website and all those reports, you are able to answer in the language of the NABARD, like what is NABARD done in that area, or what NABARD thinks, like what are the prospects, economic prospects of those region, like. So it's better to go through the website and the reports of the NABARD.
Okay. So it was really a great interview that we can say. And it was great talking with you, Mr. Amol. And it was a great interview. And we got a lot to learn from you. Any last message for the aspirants that you want to give through us?
Last message I will say, like it's more of a mental battle. It's like mind over body thing. So try to keep your mind as calm as you can through this journey, because this is like growing phase, and the growth is never a linear. Like there are ups and downs. Someday you'll be able to study for 8 hours. You will be able to manage 4 hours. But they take those things in stride. But be persistent, and don't try to focus on the end result, because whenever we try to focus on the end result, it gives us like lots of anxiety and all that. And so we should always focus on like what's in front of us. We should do that whatever we can. That's it.
A great message from you, I must say. And thank you very much, Amol. It was really nice talking with you. And I hope that aspirants must have learned a lot, especially from your experience, from your background. I can say that if the other aspirants are also preparing for a long time, they must feel disheartened. But we have seen Mr. Amol, and he has done such a great work, and he has tackled the exam very well. So I hope that all of you will also be doing really great. So all the best to all of you. Thank you, Mr. Amol. Thank you to
Thank you,
all.
ma'am. Thank you very much.